This is Femi Daniel. In this video, I'm going to be covering some of the biggest mistakes that I made when starting my real estate investing career, specifically flipping houses in Cleveland, Ohio. 2 years ago, more specifically, I began to attempt at flipping houses for myself. I started off as a wholesaler here in Cleveland, Ohio, which led to me doing a couple project management or I guess some contracting work for some out-of-state investors. But my passion had always been to flip houses in Cleveland. So with that passion, I decided to jump in and start flipping houses. But I got a very harsh experience right up front into my investing career, which looking back now, I'm extremely grateful for, because if I didn't have that experience right at the beginning, I can't imagine having it later on in life when I built up like a good relationship with various lenders and private lenders, and build up a good reputation for myself. Because remember, it takes very, very little to be able to destroy the reputation that you spent years building up. So in this video, I'm going to be covering some of the biggest mistakes that I made, but don't worry, at the end of it, I'm also going to give you some tips and some of my best advice or things that I've learned from that experience and what I've put in place to be able to save myself from having to do that all over again. Without further ado, I'm going to jump right into the video. I have a list right here on my phone, just covering some of the details just so that I can have a good flow point. So without wasting too much time, I'll jump right into the first one. The first thing was location. Now, I know if you're getting started in real estate, you'll hear this phrase, location, 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 so many different times. And I never really knew why that was so important until I had to experience it for myself. So beginning my real estate career, I got my first property, which was a 3-bed, 1.5-bath townhome in Richmond Heights, which is on the east side of Cleveland, Ohio. And it went beautiful. It was a JV flip. I was bringing the work and the experience, and my partner was bringing the money. He was leveraging that with hard money. He was out of state. I was here locally, so it made sense. We took off on that project. This was my first time hiring contractors. I didn't know how to vet them. I didn't know anything. I just had the grunt effort, and I had consumed a lot of YouTube videos. So I felt pretty confident that it can't be that hard, right? Mind of an entrepreneur. And I got into it. Funny enough, that project went pretty well. I learned a couple lessons there. I actually got scammed by one of the contractors, which would take me to my second point. But almost got scammed by one of the contractors. They started delaying. They started mixing funds. He was robbing Peter to pay Paul, taking my money to do his other projects, and vice versa. So eventually I caught wind of that, and I was able to salvage the project because we were closer to the end, and just find a couple people that could help me knock out the remaining stuff. But in the moment of buying that property, I actually went to also buy property number 2 and property number 3, which led to the snowball of things going very, very wrong. With project number 2, I also raised private money this time because I had something to show for it. So I went to a friend, which shout out to him for believing in me and giving me the first shot at investing in my project, and I decided to invest. But the problem here was I bought the property at the wrong location. I feel like it had the best price. It had a very good price. It had very good, it was very promising of a project, but I bought it in a completely different location than I had experience in. It was 1 hour away in Warren, Ohio, and this was a little remote town, less activities going on, less people interested in buying and selling houses, at least in the part that I was actually going to be transacting. I didn't have any realtors. I didn't have any connections out there. I didn't even know how to turn on the utility. I just felt the price was right. Same way I did the first one, I would just figure it out. But unfortunately, life happened. This was the beginning of the downfall, because the same contractor I had on my first project, I was trying to use on my second project as well. And then when I realized that he was trying to scam me, then he also took about $5,000 from me on the next project because I had already paid a deposit so he could do both projects simultaneously. And this just became really, really bad and started going downhill real fast. So if I could do things differently right now, I shouldn't have bought out in Warren. This was a 1 hour drive out there, and it just wasn't a location that I had any experience whatsoever. I wasn't really sure what properties could sell for. I just saw a couple comps around. I didn't know street by street, which is very, very, it happens a lot. in a lot of these Midwestern states that, the areas are kind of street by street, and each neighborhood can easily change just by moving on the other side of the street or moving to a different pockets within the same area or within the same zip code. So I was seeing comps in that area that supported my buying, and the when I went out there for the showing, I saw a couple other people. So in my head, I was like, "Oh, other people are interested. I need to really move fast. I need to secure this deal." And I did. Come to find out, the property actually had foundational issues. I didn't do thorough due diligence on the property. I was just eager to buy, which leads me to my second point: lack of patience and experience. I was just buying things. Actually, like I said, I bought a third property while also buying that second one. Their one was more of a novation deal. It was a very good opportunity, and actually everything went well with that deal. Well, not everything, but I got a very, very good opportunity to where I was able to leverage it. Thinking about it now, with what I know now, the experience I know now, that deal would have been way more profitable if I was pulling it off right now. But I was just, really overzealous, really eager, which is not a bad thing. But if I had support, if I had a team, if I had experience, which would have been a great thing. So I didn't have the patience. I picked up multiple projects all at the same time without waiting to actually go through the first one and learn the lessons that I needed to learn and actually, digest it, or seeking mentorship or guidance from somebody else who had experience flipping multiple properties at the same time. So harsh reality set in, and yeah, that was the second thing: lack of patience. Not letting the experience build and compound and snowball, but really trying to brute force myself into every door. So that really was another thing that I was lacking at that point. The third thing that I'll say is no team, experience, tools, softwares. I didn't have any experience. Like I said, this was my first time actually flipping houses for myself, so I didn't know what are the things to look out for. Like I mentioned on the Warren deal, I didn't even do thorough due diligence. Was after I bought the property, the guy told me, "Oh, the wall, I just need to caulk it. It's nothing serious." I was like, "Oh yeah, this is just cracking concrete. How hard could it be? You just need to put more concrete on it and seal the gap." But no, it was actually a foundational damage. The wall was caving in. It was leaking from multiple places. And yeah, I was getting quotes that were ridiculous to fix them. I started really realizing like, wow, this is actually a really terrible issue. Demo, I didn't even know how to even get a freaking dumpster out there. I didn't know where to order things from. But yeah, with no team, no experience, I just didn't know what to do. And then I got stuck. I abandoned the project for a while, just panicking, not really knowing what my next step needed to be. Luckily, I found a realtor who was selling a property like two houses down the street, who was able to turn everything around and really take it from a very bad sinking ship over to a property to where I was able to reduce my losses. I couldn't break even. I had to take, I think, like a $20,000 hit on that one, just because of how long I waited on the project, how much interest I was accruing with my private lender, how much money I'd lost on the construction, just mispricing things, and then how much lower I had to sell because of the foundational issue that I couldn't repair. So all of those factors combined to a very big loss, which wiped out any profits that I made from the first and the third projects that I did, because I also had living expenses. I was out and about. I was trying to live a flashy life of a flipper, a young flipper. But yeah, all of those: lack of team, lack of experience, also while still trying to wholesale to keep putting food on my table, all of that just really made it really, really terrible. Which leads me to the next thing: no contractors. I don't know why I did what I did, having just one contractor, and I mean not one crew, I mean one person. And he was finishing up my Euclid project. I was trying to get him out there to Warren to work on that project while also trying to see if he can work on the Lorraine project for me. The shame that I had from knowing that all of these things are going down really bad didn't allow me want to ask for help or ask for referrals from other people. I didn't know what the price they would come back at. I felt like I was, being smart, just having one guy. Okay, well, I'm only responsible for one person, and that would save me money, but I was paying him a daily rate, which almost every week I had to hand him about 1,500, and projects were dragging out. It was taking me 2 months to do a project right now, which would take me about 3 weeks. Just the basic stuff. And yeah, it really, really, really affected my progress. Now, I will say, it's very, very important for you to find multiple contractors that can help. I can't even imagine doing anything I do without the contractors that I have behind me. Last thing was mismanagement. Another thing was mismanagement of funds, which would bring us to number five, mismanagement of funds. Well, that was a big problem for me. I believe, even if you screw up your buy, it's very important when managing multiple projects at the same time to be able to manage the finances. You can't have all the money in one bank account, or even if you have it in one bank account, you want to make sure that you're keeping good track of how much you're spending per project so that you know when a project is going over budget and know what to do to turn the project around. With me having all of the money from, project number one, project number two, the money I raised, all of that in one bank account, trying to pay for all of these projects at the same time, it just made me overspend. Mind you, also, my living money from my business, whatever wholesale deals I made was also going in that account. So it was just one big pile of money, which didn't let me accurately track where I was in any project, right? I didn't know how I was doing financially. I didn't know how the projects were doing because I was just spending all from the same pot, and thinking back at some of these mistakes, I just can't believe like these were things that I was doing. But I think those were experiences that God wanted me to have just to be able to really, one, make sure that this is something that I actually want to pursue and know all the risk a little bit more upfront than going into it and thinking like I know what I'm doing just to experience it later on down the line, maybe when I have 10 projects going simultaneously. That would have been a bigger hit. God knows if I would have been able to bounce back from that. But that was another thing, mismanagement of funds, just having all the money in one place with no tracking whatsoever of what I'm spending per project, where I'm at with each project, if I was on budget or not on budget. I was just buying things. Oh, contractor calls me today, oh, I need this. I'm going to Home Depot to go grab that. And yeah, that really, really, really messed up finances completely because I was trying to keep everything in my head. But yeah, that's another thing that really affected me. And then the last thing on this list, which would be one, two, three, four, five, six. Number six was fear and a lack of communication. Lack of communication happened because I was scared to let my private lenders know what exactly was going on. I was scared to also even let my contractor know like this wasn't working for me. I just felt so paralyzed by fear, just feeling like, you know what, it's better for me to come back with them with a plan or telling them that I've rectified it versus going to them and telling them like, hey, we have a problem. I'm losing money on these flips and we might, have to take a hit. Because when I finally did, which was months after their money was past due, most of the responses I was getting back was, well, why didn't you just say something? And, hearing that back is the first thing that your lender is actually angry about. It stopped being about the money, was more so like a thing of like, well, why were you not communicating with me? Why were you technically lying to me that everything was going well with the project when it was not? And it just made me understand that, like, especially in a business like real estate, where it's a very people and relationship based business, it's very important for you to let everybody know what is going on. It's better for you to over communicate. Like we say within my team right now, no communication, no update is an update. So even if you have nothing to say to your lenders or to your contractor or to your team, it's very important for you to actually still say that you just don't have an update. So that's something that I learned, and I can't stress how important it is to communicate with your team, with your lenders, with everybody that you're working with, because it's going to really let them know that you don't plan on doing them wrong. You don't plan on doing anything shady. So that was another thing that I really screwed up when managing all of those projects. And like I said, also communication in the sense of not asking for help, right? There are a lot of colleagues that I could have asked for help. Actually, I did ask for help. Shout out to Soraya, because I had to ask her to pull up to one of my projects, and she was helping me with demo, and she realized like, yeah, I can't do this, bro. You got it. And not communicating with, some of the wholesalers that actually brought me the third deal, which was a novation deal, which They were supposed to also get paid on the back end. I could have communicated with them because they were actually flipping as well or getting started flipping, and we could have combined resources and pulled off the project and maybe just split the profit, you know. Also, which would just be an extra line item, I would say greed, there was, I won't say greed, but more so ego. This is just an extra bonus item. Ego really affected me from just being able to, one, to communicate. Two, this is what led me to buy more than I can handle. Three, not asking for help. Just being so paralyzed and everything and not treating this as a learning experience, which I started off going into it as. So ego can do a lot of damage in this business. It's very important to humble yourself and really realize, what exactly is going on. This led to a lot of like ruined relationships, which are actually being fixed right now. But this led to a lot of ruined relationships with a lot of friends. No, I will say a lot of friends, but a lot of my private money lenders. And the most stressful thing was the blockage that it formed in my mind. I just couldn't bring myself to want to do flips again. I was so scared of debt now. I didn't even know how to raise money or anything like that. So that fear that God, put in me from that experience has really brought that ego down here and allowed me really sit back and really realize like what are the lessons that I needed to learn, which I'm going to share now because of course I can't give you guys all the problems without going into details on the solutions that I actually had to come up with. So I also give you all the things now that I've put in place within my business that is allowing me to rebuild from scratch and do so many projects. I think within the past year or 2 years, I've done over 18 flips or managed about 18 to 20 plus projects of different scopes and different sizes. Some just a simple touch up, some a full rehab, all the losses, all the hits, the teams I've had to hire. I've had to become a better leader. I've had to learn how to over communicate. I've learned how to delegate to different people. I've learned how to raise my hand up when I don't know something and ask for help, and all of these things I wouldn't have learned without actually taking the step to actually start. So what seemed like a very terrible and dreadful experience for me ends up being stuff to where now I can look back and always reflect upon. Before I spend any money on any project, I make sure to write down exactly how much I spent, what I spent it on, just so in case I need to reflect, or if I even need to get more money, I know why exactly and for what reason. In case of contractors too, I can hold them accountable and be like, hey, you told me you needed this, and a third. I have this, and the third, but you're asking for more money now. What's the reason? But without tracking, I wouldn't know where I'm at in these projects. So those are some things that I made this video mainly because my media manager, Alex, just pushed me to make this video because it's been a blockage even with all the projects I've done, even with the team that I've built, even with the contractors that I've managed, even with all of these things. I just didn't feel quite ready, or I didn't feel like I was quite deserving of getting another shot at doing my stuff, and which is kind of like limiting my business. So this is kind of for me to put it out there and say like, hey, mistakes will happen in your flipping business. Mistakes will happen in your investing journey, and it's just about that grunt effort, that hard work, that determination to actually make it happen. And now coming back full circle, the same private lenders or, the same people that I'd worked with that I thought I destroyed the relationship are people now to where we're planning on doing new projects. We're working together again. We've been able to sort out things. And even the ones that I still have debts towards, I was able to put them on payment plans and consistently pay them over time. I had to learn how to be completely transparent with them on where my finances are at, what's my business doing, just so that they feel confident. They're like, hey, look, Femi made a mistake. The project was bad, but Femi is not a bad person. Before I started defining myself as my projects, the project went bad, so therefore Femi is a bad person. But now I've learned that like those two are quite different because my project went bad doesn't make Femi a bad person. So I've given you guys some of the mistakes that I made, which about 7 of them. Now I'm going to tell you the things that I've put in place within my business so that maybe it can help you out within your business. You might be going through something similar like what I'm going through, or you might be actually just looking to start your own journey. So I'm going to give you these tips that I put in place now so that you don't create those mistakes for yourself as well. First thing is location. Location, location, location. You're going to hear almost every investor in the world tell you about that. It's very important to pick your location and pick it strategically. One, now I try to pick locations to where I have the most experience in. The areas that I buy in right now are areas that I am within 20 minutes or 30 minutes at the most drive away from, right? So these are areas to where I can drive out there. I can check on the projects every single day if I need to. I know these areas like the back of my hand. If you send me the zip code or if you send me the address, within a few minutes I can comp out these areas because I have ran so many comps in that area. And for those that don't know what comps are, these are comparables, just similar houses that I've sold in that area. I've also done multiple projects in that area. I've wholesaled deals in that area. So I know a lot about the location that I'm buying in right now, which for those of you watching that may be wholesalers or you have a deal out there for me, I'm buying strictly in Cuyahoga County, especially on the east side of Cuyahoga County. So the inner city Cleveland areas, B to D class neighborhoods. I'm buying single families, 1 to 4 units in those areas. So if you have a deal, make sure to shit it over to me. I'll be happy to give you an offer. So pick a location that works for you, pick a location that you're knowledgeable about, or you have at least resources and a team out there. So that way, in case you need to research about the location or know what the value is or know how the streets work, you have that available to you. Another thing that I have is contractor and a robust team. Right now, I don't start a project or I don't take on projects to which I don't have a contractor that can do that scope. I'm not going to be taking electrical work if my electrician is out of the country or something, or I can't find somebody else to work with. I'm not going to be taking on foundation issues if I don't have a good foundation guy to use. I'm not going to take on roof if I don't have a good roofer. So I try to always make sure that before I take down anything or add anything extra to my scope, I know the person and I have that person available to help. So contractors, building a very good team of contractors is going to be very important for you. Another thing that I do is experience flipping multiple properties and learning a lot. If I could start all over again, I would have done what I did last year, which is helping project manage for a lot of outside investors and being a minority partner in deals just to gain that experience and learn from people that are doing it, or partner with somebody who has experience doing a lot of projects and being the project manager, running the fields for them so that they can pass on that knowledge to me and I can take that and apply that to my own project. So if you're out there, if you're local, if there's a local flipper in your area, go out to networking events and actually put yourself out there. Tell them that you're willing to manage their project. Tell them that you're willing to go out there and run the fields for them and learn from that. You know, you're going to get paid while you learn. I call it learn and earn. Whatever I'm trying to do, I always look for opportunities to where I can learn and earn, because now I'm gaining experience on somebody else's dime, which of course you also want to be careful with that because you don't want to lose money for that person and build a bad reputation for yourself as well. So it's very important for you to take on those projects as if they are your own, as if this is your own money, which is what I had to do. You know, whenever there's a loss or some things go wrong, I make sure to immediately let them know. I make sure to let them also know when I can't take on things for them and when things are the project fault, and not internalize that as Femi being a bad guy again. Third thing I'll say is enough experience. You know, like I mentioned, between last year and this year, doing 20 plus flips has built a lot of experience. You know, there's nothing that can really surprise me at a property anymore because I know that most things are fixable. It's just to gather your composure, make sure that you're not over budgeted, or even if you have to break even on the project is important. It's important to you for you to make that decision real fast versus letting it stall and get worse over time. So I'll say experience has really taught me a lot, just like I said, which is pretty similar to what I mentioned before, which is project managing for some people, building a robust team. All of these things help you build an experience that can really help, take your journey or speed up your journey in real estate. And the next thing is team. Your team stretches. In real estate, there are several people that get paid from one particular deal. And each of these people are important to that deal. You have your title company, you have the agent, you have the wholesaler who brings you the deal if you're not buying the deal yourself, your realtor, your insurance agent, your appraiser, there's title companies, if I didn't mention that before. There's just several different people. Even the city itself are your team members. So it's very important for you to build a very robust team. Your private lender, your hard money lender, brokers, different people that can be very, very influential or very, very helpful to your journey. Like I said, if I had many of these people, or I built enough relationships as I do have right now in my previous projects, it would have definitely helped me scale a lot better and faster. So it's going to be very important for you to build a robust team. But yeah, the team is very important. And outside of those external team members, you also have your internal team members. Right now, I have a transaction coordinator in-house that helps me handle the whole documents, paying people, talking with the title company, talking with external vendors. She is a very, very great help because it allows me focus on other activities like analyzing deals, going out to the projects, talking with my lenders, talking with my different partners. That's what I focus on doing right now. I also have somebody in-house that helps me with project management, so coordinating with bids, collecting bids from vendors, talking to them and collecting updates so that I can just focus on driving out there and doing more so quality control, which I'm also going to outsource at some point and probably merge both roles so that somebody else is handling that and I can focus on buying great deals. Because the more experience, the more I do it, the more I'm able to record the process and pass that training over to somebody else. I also have an acquisitions guy in-house now that's helping with sourcing deals. So it kind of serves as the top of the funnel, gathers a bunch of leads in. I go in, I analyze it, and make sure that it's something that I actually want to pull off. Last thing is communication. Like I stressed, it's very, very important for you to communicate throughout this business with your team during the closing, communicate with the title company, communicating with your insurance agent, letting people know what you want, letting people know what is going on so that they can better help or serve you. Also communicating with your lenders. It's going to be very, very important. If you're going to raise money or do this by flipping with other people's money, it's very important to communicate with them, let them know what is going on. Right now, I have a software which I just add them into that just tells them they can see the log updates, they can see how the finances are being spent, they can see everything on the back end, right? They can also make sure that their money is with the right person, because if they're seeing those log updates every single day and meeting with me every single week, then they feel rest assured knowing that they gave the money to the right operator. So right now, also with my team, I'm very, very, very clear with them. I'm ready to hop on a call, discuss with you the expectations, set the right expectations, and let them know what I need from them. Also with my contractors, communicating with them the quality that I want, things I want done, holding them accountable to the different work that you're doing, and being able to just also give them a good experience working with me. Hearing how they feel about the project, how they feel about my payment process, how they feel about, the expectations that I have on them, and also being able to fire people, just communicating with them and letting them know hey, the expectation that I had about you is not what I'm actually receiving, and just letting them know it's completely okay. Whether that's a client, whether that's a money lender, whether that's a contractor, I've gotten to the point now within my business to where I'm able to communicate with people and just let them know if I don't feel comfortable working with them anymore. So communication is going to be very important in every aspect of your investing journey. The last thing is managing the funds. You're in the money business. You're leveraging money, you're leveraging finances, you're moving and shaking with different amounts of money. It's going to be very, very important for you to be able to manage that money right. Track them, use project management tools so you can track the finances accurately. It's going to be very important. I can't overstress it. Okay, so last thing, managing funds. It's going to be very, very important for you to be able to manage your funds effectively when managing multiple projects. Keep track of everything. How much are you spending? What materials are you buying? How consistent are you buying these materials? Before you just go out there spending and paying for stuff, really figure out that is this price that you're getting from this contractor a competitive rate. I'm not saying you should be cheap and look for the absolute bottom pricing, but also you don't want to overpay for things that you can do for a better amount of money. Find a good team. If you listen to some of the steps before even this amount, it's going to make managing the finances even easier, because if you have a very good team of contractors, if you have a very good internal team, all of this can be done for you and be done well, right? Versus if you're doing multiple projects and you don't have a way of tracking, you don't have a software where you're budgeting this cost and making sure that you're spending the right amount, you can very well, very well lose money really fast, or end up in a situation to where you're overestimating your profits or you're not really budgeting for a worst case scenario. It's going to be important to have contingency budgets within your project plans, right? Having a space for the in case it is, things that you didn't plan for but actually happen. Because as you start to take down walls, some of these houses that we're buying are over 100-year-old or over 70, 80-year-old properties. And taking down the drywall or taking away the plaster that's on the wall, you start to see the things behind it. Some of these copper pipes that are used in the house, or like metal pipes, are rusted from within, from the inside out, and it might look good on the outside, but inside is completely rotted. The drains can be broken, just different things that you never really planned for. So it's going to be very important that you manage his finances very, very well. And overall, like I said, the key point that I want to drive here is one, communication, two, building a very good buy box, which is like your location, what type of properties you're buying, where you're buying them, all of those good things, and building a great team. And like I said, also making sure you manage the funds well. If you're not good at managing the funds, get somebody else on your team who can do that for you, or hire a bookkeeper who can do that for you. With all of these different points, I believe you'll be able to manage your project effectively and be able to not make mistakes like I did that can completely ruin your investing journey or make you not want to invest anymore. So those are the points that I like to share. And if you guys like this type of videos and want me to create more videos like this, just going over my experience flipping houses in Cleveland, let me know in the comments. Let me know other things that you would like to know, or things that you want me to dive into a lot more, and I'll be sure to do that. Also, subscribe to my channel. Plan on making more videos like this. Plan on documenting the process a lot more. Also, follow my different social media pages, and I'll catch you guys soon.